welcome to day 27, no, to day 24th of the Just Ship It challenge. Yeah, 24. So there are 6 days left and well, that's almost nothing. So what I thought, what I'm doing today is again maybe tweet a little bit that I'm streaming because it's a Saturday, so maybe people are interested in joining me here. Let's have a look. I didn't tweet that much this year, this month actually, apart from this Ship It challenge. But let's tweet again. Can you believe it's day 24th? Day 24th of the Just Ship It challenge. I'm reflecting on my daily stream on Twitch. So maybe I let you see it, you know, this very important Twitter thing. Wanna join me? And then let's do my thing. Oh, this is the wrong, see? Oh, good that I didn't send it because this is the wrong thread. This is the thread where I am showing my YouTube videos, but I have somewhere a thread and this is a little bit outdated probably. With all the days where I'm twitching here. Halftime. This is, I think, this is my thing. Yeah, so here we are gonna edit. I'm reflecting on how it is going during my daily stream on Twitch. Wanna join me? So that's it, right? And then we have to find actually the Twitch URL. And then everything starts here, I think. Right? So, well. So today actually I didn't do a lot for the tool because my kids are not here. They are with grandmas, which is amazing. But it also means that I can do stuff that I normally can't do, and this is means that I started packing my stuff for the big move that I'm gonna do end of December, beginning of January. So there's still some time to go, but I thought that probably I will not have so much time anymore in November and in December to really pack my stuff and declutter. Mostly I'm decluttering also and sorting and organizing, you know, what goes in which box and things like that. And so the cool thing is that now I can do that because I can leave the boxes around, and I normally can't do that if the kids are around because they're taking everything from the boxes and, you know, bringing it around the house, and so it will be more mess. I can tell you it's unmanageable. And so this is why I used actually the whole day today to do packing. And then I also I painted a bed for my little one because she wants some unicorn bed, and so I bought a couple of different colors, very unicorny colors, and I painted her bed in like rainbow colors and things like that. So I think she will be really surprised and will love it. And so yeah, this is actually also what I have to do tomorrow and on Monday, because Monday is national holiday here. And yeah, so there will be more house stuff actually going on this weekend than I anticipated yesterday. But yeah, there will be also I will also work on the tool, and I also have to work on the podcast because I always release on Tuesday or every other Tuesday, and so it's a new release Tuesday coming up. So I have to also do the podcast thing. So plenty of things to do. So, but the good thing is, while I was packing, I was listening to the Indie Hacker podcast. I'm a big fan. And like, I listened to 3 episodes and then I had to stop because there were so many ideas coming and I was like really overstimulated. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to try this. But sometimes I went and took a few notes in my very amazing notebook, which is just Notepad. But yeah, and so one of the discussions were about how many hours you actually have to spend to be successful, and it was with the founder of Basecamp, and he is a big advocate of very family-friendly hours. I don't know, I don't think family-friendly is the good, like life-friendly hours, right? So he thinks that you can actually achieve a lot in just 10 hours, because when he started doing Basecamp, he was working 10 hours and got a lot of things done. And I'm also a very, very effective and efficient person, so I can also get a lot of things done in a short amount of time, which is good, but I think you have to have the right environment to do that. So if I'm really deep into work, I can be very, very effective and can make a lot of progress. But if you have like a lot of distractions, like notifications and too many tabs, that I hate all these tabs and I still have them, then this is really hard. It's really hard to focus. And so I'm always reflecting a little bit on that, because I also have family, right? I have family and I have a lot of commitments that I didn't have like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, right? I didn't have that. I had all of my time that I could spend freely on mostly work-related stuff. And so now I'm much more restricted with that, right? So first of all, I don't want to spend the whole day, like I don't want to work 80 hours a week, because this would mean that I don't see my kids, I don't see my husband, I don't see my friends, there will be just work, and this would be too one-sided, would be just not balanced. It's not a life that I imagine. And yeah, but on the other hand, I think it's quite challenging, and it definitely took me a few years to really be able to work with less hours. Yeah, and then it definitely took me. It needed some that I get used to this idea of not having so much time at hand, right? So you really have to. Oh, thank you for the follow. Thank you. You really have to get used to prioritizing. I think prioritizing is really what you have to get used to a lot, right? So I also have like here on my wall, you can see it, like a big sign, and it says, well, work smarter, not harder. And really the question, what is the smartest thing that you can work on today? So what will bring you the furthest? And there's also this 80-20 rule, which I talked about yesterday, and which I really try to follow as well, and think like, okay, what are the 80% or what are the 20% of the work that bring me the 80% of the impact? And and I definitely, there was no choice. It's not like a choice like, oh, I choose to think about those things. It's just that if you have so many things going on in your life, you have to start learning how to prioritize and really be more effective. And this brings me actually to my declutter. So I have a lot of books. Actually today I looked through them, and I probably will get rid of quite a few of them, just because I read them once and now they're just there and they're taking up space. And there's so many other places now that I see in my house where I have like books, which you always think like you will get to it, right? You will read this book or you will do whatever is in that. But you actually never do, because you have so much stuff that you're taking a lot of time actually organizing, the dusting, like dusting your stuff and things like that. So when I'm moving now, one of the things that I really want to do is I want to declutter a lot and prioritize also what's really important for me, what will stay with me. and get rid of everything else because it's a distraction. And I think the same holds true for your startup life, right? Really thinking about, like, when I was overstimulated by these podcasts, right? And like, oh, do this and then do that and over here and look, and I mean, it's just too much, right? You now get a really long list of things that you are supposed to do, and because it's so much, I mean, it's probably in this situation not even possible. I think it's very overwhelming. So I think it's really important also to declutter ideas, right? Be it like the ideas that you are going to work on, or the next step that you're going to do in your business. It's good to know and to learn about stuff, but then, look at it and put it aside and say, well, maybe later, or, something like that. And it should be in a box that you don't open all the time. Like, oh, should I work today on this idea? No, put it in this box and leave it there. Yeah. So what else? I have a few other notes that I wanted to talk with you about. I thought like maybe I'm doing some parts of it on the stream. So something else, especially with this productivity again, right? I want to automate more of my stuff. And there are really nice already tool chains that you can build now for automation. And I haven't really used that a lot, but I think I should, especially for getting more effective and more efficient with your business, right? So for example, with my podcast, I would like to automate a little bit more how, for example, I'm communicating with guests. Because right now, even though I have like templates for things that I send my guests, I'm actually sending every email by hand. And I don't think this is really necessary. Maybe the invitation email is, should be really personalized, because this is how you get the people to accept and really know that you pick them. I mean, I'm researching the people that I'm picking. I'm not like sending hundreds of emails to strangers. I'm really thinking about who should be on my podcast, and then I go and I research that person, and I also really think about the first email that I'm sending. And I think I will keep that manual. I think it's an important step to do that. But then once they accept it, right, the scheduling of how to find a slot for the podcast, and then I'm actually sending them a preparation email where I'm telling them about how to get ready for the podcast and what equipment they need and if they have questions and all of that. And then the most important thing is the reminder, right? Before the podcast starts, I'm sending them a reminder, and sometimes I forget, and that's it could happen that then the recording doesn't happen, right? So but all of those points can be easily automated, but I have never gotten through it. And so I actually thought, like, for November, this is on my to-do list. So I want to really spend November working on automation for many things around. I mean, this is a very typical example, but I think there are many other things that I could start automating and make better. For example, my syndication. I'm not syndicating a lot of my content. And it's just because I don't have the time to do it. I can't. It takes me so much time. So I would like to learn a little bit, like possibilities to do syndication around content. And the same with my Twitter. I mean, really, like this month, because I was working so much on the code review tool, I was barely active on Twitter. And that's somehow, I think it's not good. And I would like to build more routine about being present at Twitter, and also maybe starting scheduling some of the tweets. I mean, I've never done that, but I think I would like to try that out. Maybe not for my personal Twitter, but at least for the podcast, right? So my podcast right now, everything I do is manual. So every tweet that I'm sending about, for example, a podcast episode, I'm really typing manually. But it also means that my podcast, I have 2 tweets per month, right? Maybe I'm having a third or a fourth if I have some time to do it. But normally I don't have it. And I think I don't want to spam people, but I don't think that is it's enough. I think I could have more tweets, and it would be good for the interaction, and also for the people that are following the podcast to actually have more information, and have a little bit more tweets. And so maybe I can automate something like that. So I will play a little bit around with that. And there was actually the worst staff on Twitter was sharing how he automated. What did he automate? Let me think. I was reading his blog post yesterday. It was how he invites people on his Twitch, right? So it was very similar to what I want to do with the podcast. And so he showed his automation that he wrote with integration to Zapier and things like that. And so this is what I want to do. What else? So this is all connected to the productivity and what I thought about productivity today. There were a couple of other things, like what is your selling point, right? But also what makes you memorable or what makes you stand out. And there were 2 episodes. One was with David Basilio. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And he is definitely, I mean, you remember him because he had like this gigantic paycheck that he gave up, right? So this is just, I mean, who would forget him? He is the person that was on Amazon and had like this dream job, and he got $500,000 per year. And he just says, oh, I'm walking out, right? I'm doing my own thing. I'm starting now my business. I don't even know what I'm doing, but this is not for me, right? This is not for me. This $500,000 euro or dollar probably, this is not for me. And I mean, you remember him. I mean, I remember him. The whole world remembers a person that says, oh, $500,000. I don't care. And so I was thinking a little bit like, and so he was giving this advice, right? He was on the Indie Hacker podcast. It was a very nice interview with him. And so he was saying, well, it's important that people remember you. And I was thinking like, how are people remembering me? And I really have no idea. Like, there's not really something for what I'm standing out, I think. So maybe I should think a little bit more about that. Like, how can I stand more out? Or it's not probably personal me, but how can my business stand out? Like, how can you make the business more rememberable, right? And so I was thinking, and this probably comes back to brand. So I was actually working a little bit on my brand at the beginning, and so my slogan is actually make code reviews your superpower. I think it's not a bad slogan actually. I also made, like, at the start of the pandemic, I made some business cards with it. I have to show you them. Let me get them. Like they're in this drawer ever since, right? They never had their chance to be shown somewhere. Are those my business cards? No. There are others. Let me see. I'm gonna show you them because today when I was packing my stuff, I was actually looking at my business card and got a little bit sad because I made them and I thought like, oh my god, I will show them to people and I will give them, right? Here's one. Let me see. Code reviews, bottleneck or superpower. I actually think it's really nice. It's a nice one. Like I designed these really nice business cards. But then the pandemic came and all my conference things, dreams, plans got cancelled, and so now they're just very sad business cards sitting here in my drawer, and they will move with me in January to the new house. Maybe I will use them next year. I don't know. Something like that. But so I was thinking about the business more. How can the business stand out? How can people remember the business? And there was another podcast today on the Indie Hacker, and it was about a marketing person, right? And this marketing person, I mean, that person was all about brand and how can people remember, and how can people remember, he called it boring stuff like consultants, right? And he said, well, there was one consulting company and they were like analytics or something, and they made like statistics. And they made a statistic about how dirty taxis are in New York or something like that, how many germs there are. And because, I mean, this was somehow rememberable, right? So people linked to that company, and it was also in the news and things like that. I don't know how person, I mean, maybe I have just faded. I have somebody that's knowledgeable in that field. Maybe I have to pick some brains. on how that could be. Yeah. Anyway, let me think a little bit more what I wanted to talk about with you today. I think that's more or less it. So today was really more about listening to the podcast and getting some ideas of, you know, how to do things differently. A lot of the podcast, maybe something that's still relevant here, is a lot of the podcast guests, profitable business owners, right? They reminded the audience, right, the listener, over and over again to actually talk to people, right? And I think this is very important, and I think I do it a little bit. I probably not do it as much as I should. And they were even, I think, talking about, well, let's first do a website, right? Like do a landing page and advertise your tool that you haven't built. And see how many signups you get and see how much the interest. But I don't know, I feel it's not very true, right? So if you haven't done the code yet, or you haven't built the tool yet, ethically I don't think it's correct to advertise it. So this is why I'm turning it around, right? I do at least the MVP, and now in the next week I think we will do the landing page for it. I don't think you should do it before. It's weird. At least like a prototype. You should have a prototype for what you're trying to sell to the people. I don't know. How do you think? Well, yeah, but yeah. So a lot of things were like talk to people and really ask them, you know, and get an understanding. And yeah, so I tried to do that with my early adopter. And I probably will spend a little bit time after the landing page is up and running to really engage with a broader audience and see if they are interested in the tool. Yeah, so I think that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for joining and being on my stream. I'm probably streaming it tomorrow, and I hope I have some news on what I actually worked on for the tool. And yeah, have a good day, and see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. CST. Okay, bye bye.